Friday Night. We are brought to you as ever by Erdinger for another season as well. Fantastic stuff. Cheers to them. We are in the Red Lion pub upstairs and we're here to talk about Darwin Nunez. I want to have a bit of a chat about Darwin. What is to be done with Darwin? What do we do about the Darwin issue? Is there a Darwin issue? I'll let you guys decide. He scored again last night, Ian.
He did,
I
found out about this 5 minutes ago.
To be fair to you, it happened in the middle of the night. You'd have been fast asleep, dreaming of new plays.
No, around about 3 o'clock this morning, I was wide awake because the cat wanted to go out. He wasn't taking no for an answer.
Well, while you were letting the cat out, you could have been...
I could have actually watched Copa America.
You could have watched it and seen Darwin back. He won 5-0, but he scored in his last 7 games. That is equalling an all-time Uruguay record. He's got 10 in the last 7. He's enjoying himself, and he seems to, at least in a light blue shirt, know where the goal is.
I've literally just watched it because obviously we spoke about it before we started.
Oh, yeah.
So I've literally just watched the goal. And it's a cracking goal.
Yeah, it's a nice finish.
It's a really nice run. It's a lovely finish. He stays on side. There's no problem with him breaking the line at any point. He knows exactly where he's supposed to be, and he's exactly where you would want him to be and where you'd have wanted him to be all last season. And the fact he wasn't there means something was... Maybe he didn't go with Jurgen. Maybe, you know, to speculate, he just didn't... Him and the manager didn't necessarily see eye to eye on what they wanted, and something wasn't quite getting across. Maybe Arna's going to be the making of it.
What do you make of it all? It's 2 years now, isn't it? Which is a decent amount of body of work to judge any forward. But he is a difficult one to judge because
I love the mad bastard. I did absolutely love him to bits.
Has he been your head out a bit though?
Well, you know, when there was so much on last season, and you do allow yourself to start thinking, could this be? And there are those moments, and you know at the time, it's not just retrospect, you know at the time that those are definitive moments and there are chances that have to go in. But yeah, think back to Brentford away and you look at that finish there and sublime, and that's, you know, that's what he's got in his tank. You forget that he's 23 years of age, you know, he's been here a couple of years, but he's got it all there. And that goal, he scored a few goals in the Copa America. And they're all very, very composed finishes. And what it is, you know, there's certain players when they get sent away and there's no doubt in your mind that they're going to finish that. And maybe it's a kit, by the way, absolutely brilliant kit. It's a lovely kit.
It's a good summer for international kits, isn't it? Isn't it? There's some cracking kits around.
We'll all wear one next week.
Half from England.
Pick it home.
Yeah. But in that Uruguay shirt, it doesn't seem to enter his head that he's going to miss, you know, everyone, they're all going in. So let's see, you know, he's had time to settle in. He knows, you know, it's the cliche of, you know, it's a big shirt, isn't it? Coming to Liverpool, you know, there's huge expectations and you cannot ever contemplate the reality of that until you're there, and every game means something. It's not a case of, oh, I'll miss one, another chance will come along. For us, every game means something. And I think, you know, the way he's wired, I think that does get into his thinking a little bit, so that automatic, you know, this is what I'm doing and I'm doing this. Sometimes he might, you know, the handbrake might go on, he might overthink it. But fresh start, new manager, great summer behind him, and
everything to play for.
Yeah, everything to play for. You know, he's following on in the footsteps of another crazy Uruguayan, and maybe early days to start talking in them tips. I've got nothing but confidence in him, John.
I love it.
Really like him.
Samo loves a mad bastard. You are a mad bastard, Andy. So what advice have you got for him moving forward?
It's a bit of a funny one, because if you would have paused the season after Forest and said, how would you mark Darwin's season out of 10? Right then, you'd say 8, 9.
Yeah.
You know, being generous, just the way the last couple of months of the season went, and I think everyone got in their own heads a little bit as it was falling away. I don't think he was up by his performance Goodness, which I think is the worst performance I've seen in a Liverpool shirt from him, not ever. But there's another thing as well. I've been watching his goals for Uruguay. I feel for him a little bit, because he's tried them finishes for us, and either the keeper's made an absolute worldie or he's at the post. I think there was one the other day where he breaks in into the inside left channel of the box and just slides it near post to the past the keeper. The keeper goes down and it goes in. You think that's a great finish, that. But if the keeper stands up, I'm not denigrating him here, but if the keeper stands up, it's pretty much straight at him. But it's still a clever fit because he puts the keeper down. But he's tried that with us a couple of times and he's just been unlucky. I'm not saying he's.
It's not necessarily.
He set the world on. I'm not saying he set the world on fire. You know, he set the world on fire for Liverpool. But I just think there's a mixture of maybe youthful exuberance, lack of confidence, getting inside his own head a little bit. I think it was fine. The amount, listen, you don't score that amount of goals for your national team in a team that's got some fantastic players against. I mean, he's not scored against bums either. I think won 5-0 yesterday, but he scored against big teams.
Yeah, Argentina, Brazil.
And you don't do that unless you've got that kind of quality.
I was going to say that the difference in goalies between the international class goalies he's playing are obviously, or should obviously be, as good as the league goalies he's playing in general.
It's just a different style. Maybe it's a stylistic, and you can coach around that. I mean, there was a really good feature with Alison Becker a couple of months ago. Our friend George Tugdale actually produced.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he did. The fellow who wrote the questions obviously knows what he's talking about, but let's not go into that. And he was talking about the different styles. He said, he goes in detail about how Italian keepers do this, Spanish keepers base their principles on this, English keepers base their principles on this, and how he styles himself. And it was really something that I never even thought about. So if you look at maybe the South American style of goalkeeping, even the Portuguese style of goalkeeping, maybe it's just a learning curve for him, but the ability is definitely there. You don't miss that many chances in a Liverpool shirt if you've got something there. I honestly think that the last couple of months of the season, they were almost trying too hard, trying to be too precise.
Do you think that's partly down to Jürgen's announcement coming when it did?
Exactly.
You know?
Look what was on the line. Yeah. It was death or glory for a period. Jürgen's leaving. The league title's in sight.
Well, they were talking about it when they were actually talking about both floors.
When we flowed last season, he looked brilliant. Yeah. He looked really, really good.
It's all different types of goals. You look at Newcastle away. They're like the goals he's scored for Uruguay, but he's cutting them across the goalkeeper.
The headers,
yeah.
I think Newcastle away is the key, because I think that's the key to who he is as a player. Because if you can come on and score that goal, and then 30 seconds later score the same goal again, and they can't do anything about it, despite the fact they've just seen you make that run, they've seen you make that move, you can still do it. It shows how lethal you can actually be.
Do you know what's just struck me? All of these countries, we've said away.
Yeah.
So maybe the sequels is starting to do it at home.
Well, do you think that's it? That's an interesting one. Do you think maybe away there's a bit more space behind? You know, the teams sit deep at Anfield. Is that sort of a bit of a thing where there's a bit less space for them? Because when he's managed to stay onside, getting in behind seems to be sort of a big thing for him. I just wonder whether there's maybe just a bit more space for him in these away games. But then it can become a psychological thing then as well. He's like, I don't score here. And you could see with some of the ones he was missing, how you know, there was one where he sort of misses at the end and then storms off and everyone makes a big deal out of it. He's just burnt out, do you know what I mean? It's just one of those, isn't it? And it can start to become a bit self-fulfilling.
Palace was a key one, wasn't it, when that missed it?
Well, that's another one that he hits really well, and like Andy says, on a different day, different goal, he does a different thing. You know, that goes in the back of the net.
I mean, the goals we concede this season, which just fucking seems to roll in no matter where they are.
I can say this because I am a home fan and I am sitting in the main stand. Is it because the fans who go to the away games don't whinge as much as the fans at home? Because we whinge a lot. There's a lot of whinging in the main stand. It's not like I'm selling anything new here. It's everybody knows the main stand whinges. Jürgen may have pointed it out on several occasions. But as somebody tweeted about this morning, maybe he's so good for Uruguay because the fans aren't getting on his back every time he misses one. At home, we are.
There is another element to this as well, and it kind of goes with the end of season struggles. For Uruguay's the main man.
Yeah.
And they always look for him. Whereas with Liverpool, and this is in no way a criticism of Mohamed Salah whatsoever, but if we've got 5 to go on the clock and we're really under it, who are they going to look for?
Yeah.
Who are they going to look to take that responsibility? And Mo didn't have a great end of season, for being perfectly honest, either. And I think sometimes the way we play, sometimes it just slowed down a little bit too much. I think when Nunez looked at his best, and probably feeds into the away form thing, where he can take responsibility. There's space to hit there, but I also think if he's the main man, because he's done it for Benfica.
Well, his best form is when he is the main man. When Salah comes back and he's injured, that's Nunez's best form, isn't it?
That speaks to Gakpo's form as well for Holland. Yeah. He's looked a more effective player for Holland in the Euros than he has done for. I think he had an okay season, and that's a problem for the new manager to solve. And again, listen, Mohamed Salah's been one of the best players for every Liverpool shirt. I'm not advocating at all getting rid of him getting rid of him just to placate Nunez and Gakpo, but
we're basically saying he's number 10.
It's the reality of the situation.
It's the reality of the situation. Something that I mean, it's a nice problem to have for the new manager, and it's a nice puzzle to solve. And maybe that plays into it a little bit.
One thing as well. I mean, if he stays fit for 10 consecutive games, like his link-up play with Jota was starting to look really good, you know, then the Anfield game, sort of from the turn of the year till about the end of February, they were getting a few games together, and they were building up an understanding. They're going to come back to that, you know, that one Brentford away, like, just, it's one of them where you're screaming at him, going, don't do that, and then,
I think even Jota was saying, no. When he tried to, when he looked at
Chips are standing goal.
Jota's header for the assist is ridiculous.
That was it,
It's a stupid goal. It's the goal you don't score. You can't score that goal.
Crouching tiger, isn't he?
Him and Salah got dynamite at the start of the season for the period as well.
He gets something like 7 assists for the Salah, doesn't he? Okay, we'll have a little break now. You're going to hear from Erdinger, and then we're going to talk about next season in general.
And Erdinger, please.
Stop! Don't forget the best bit.
Are you looking forward to next year, Kev? Have you had enough of a break for it to whetted your appetite for what's to come?
I've had enough of a break 3 days after it finishes. When are the fixtures out? And, you know, you'll have heard my patter many enough times now. I just, you know, I start every season expecting us to win everything, just to, you know, just love it. And just being rational for a second, I mean, new manager coming in, it's rare for a new manager to just completely hit the ground running and for everything to, you know, to fall into place all at once. So I think, you know, a little bit of patience might be called for. But there's so much to be excited about. I mean, that is a great nucleus of a team who got a great squad. And for me, like, one of the most exciting periods of last season was when, by necessity, you know, by virtue of all the games we had coming thick and fast, all the younger players were starting to get a show. And, you know, some of them are keepers, you know, I don't mean goalkeepers, I mean, you know, they're for life, you know. I mean, Dan's, you know, I would have carried on playing him. He just I've said a few times maybe on one of these shows, you know, he reminds me of Robbie in this. Again, it's that thing of give him a chance, you know, it's going in. 2 out of 3 are going in.
Back in the net, doesn't he?
Yeah. And, you know, I'd love to see more of them. There's a few of them coming through as well. Great to see Bajcetic back, and you know, so you know that kind of that nucleus of young kids coming through with what we've got, maybe 1 or 2 signings. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm absolutely addicted. Like, you know, like you, I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning, watch the bit of the American presidential debate, then I'm straight on to all the aggregators for all the transfer rumours that you just know are never going to happen.
Yeah,
but I just will
You've got to read it.
Every single one of them, look them up, see who they are. And I'm not that arsed if we don't get anyone, but if we get 1 or 2, that would be great. You know, just a couple of you know, alternatives in a couple of positions. Maybe a centre back, and I think the one thing that we have lacked in recent years is that, you know, what they used to call in water carry, you know, a hard-working central midfielder. I don't think that was Fabinho, by the way. I don't think Fabinho was necessarily, you know, he was destructive, but he wasn't Kante, was he? You know, he wasn't Mascherano. And if we could sign Mascherano too, that would be the icing on the cake for me. You know, whoever that is, I don't know whether you've got any suggestions, but that for me would maybe be the one thing we could upgrade, is, you know, is that feisty midfielder. Otherwise, that was just dead excited.
You excited, Andy? You've had a bit of a break now, a bit of a holiday. Was it enough, or do you need a bit longer?
No, I'm Sam with it. I'm looking forward to start the season. I mean, change is good anyway. And we go into the new season with the unique position of the new manager not having a massive job on his hands because of the way that Jurgen's obviously...
It's unique, isn't it? It doesn't happen.
It's fairly rare,
yeah. So he's walking into a decent squad. A couple of new additions maybe. Champions League's back, which is always a bonus. And still, one hope is that we get a fair win with injuries more than anything. I mean, for all the talk of, you know, last season, we did suffer massively. I mean, with the side bonus that is, you get the likes of Jayden Dans and McConnell and Conor Bradley and all that coming through and showing themselves in. Bobby Clark, the rest of them. So there's reasons to be optimistic. There's no point going into a season dreading it or thinking, oh, why don't we do this? Possibilities are there. Well, they can only do as well as they can, but that might be enough. They've gone close so many times and they've got that experience. So I think they will have learned from last season that it was a new Liverpool team, and you'll see a further stage of the evolution of that team next season, I think, as well, which is really exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm hoping and I expect Dominic Szoboszlai to return with the form that he started his Liverpool career with. McAllister, towards the end of the season, tailed off a little bit, retired, but he was exceptional for the middle part of the season.
He was overplayed, wasn't he? He was overplayed and he was worked in areas he wouldn't normally work.
But that's the injury situation as well, isn't it?
Him.
And then obviously you've got the new manager and his philosophy. So yeah, I might prefer. Well, no, I'll be to start next week, so I'm going to go to Turkey, haven't I? So
You don't have
maybe I do have to. Have you met my missus? So maybe.
Caution, don't want to hear people start singing Shekshi football. That could come back to haunt us there.
I don't think he's that type of I don't think he's that type of character. I mean, I think you've seen with his interview there, it was quite, I wouldn't say mundane, but it was quite muted, quite calm, quite analytical. There was no big statements made. There was no bombast there. And it's one of the biggest things about Jürgen that I loved, that he was full of that, full of vim, full of vigour.
Yeah.
Whereas
But the last thing you want is somebody coming in trying to do exactly the same thing and lock you on.
I think the worst thing that he could have done was try to do that. You know what I mean? He's got to be his own man. He's got to be his own character. I mean, obviously, as Kev said, a couple of new additions there. You can even centre half. I think Joel Matip again. One of the great things that wasn't spoken about. He was in the best form that he was in for years before he got injured last season.
Completely.
You know, that game we know the way the game at Spurs ends, but that game he was absolutely phenomenal, and he carried that on, and then he got injured, and then we were chopping and changing, and then Trent went out. So I think we do need cover at centre half. I would have said right back, but then Conor Bradley's coming, he's done sensational, and we've got that conversation about where's Trent next year. Maybe more cover at left back, possibly. The Ward's carry. I mean, I slightly disagree with Kevin the Ward's carry because I thought Endo had, for the most part, fantastic. Really good season.
Tied at the end of the season.
He's 32, is he?
I thought he's quite 32.
31, 32, yeah. So you do need another option in there, but I said Stephen Manchester just coming in, and that's his position. That's where he plays. So I love going into a season where there's loads of questions and loads of potentially brilliant answers. So let's see.
No, I think that's a really good way of putting it. And, you know, there is solutions and there is good players. And Samuel talked about needing to be a bit patient, and I think we will be. But the good thing about the quality of the squad is they can win games while they figure it out. And there's enough quality there within the squad that we can say, yeah, we're not quite right yet, but fucking hell, we got 10 points after the first 4 games, and they're good enough to do that. They're good enough to fly the plane while building it, to use the Rafa Benitez.
We did it last season. We did it brilliantly last season until the end of March. And I still maintain, if we'd have won it united in the FA Cup, we'd have ended up winning the league.
There's no doubt that for me was a turning point.
Yeah. You know, after that, we kind of like, well, you know, we're talking about winning all 4. We've already won 1. We're on course for the league. We're top of the league. We go to United. All we got to do is beat these, and they're shit, so we can beat them. Oh shit, we haven't. And at that point, they knew that the quadruple had gone, and the heads went a little bit. And then you do it again in the league, and the heads went completely. Yeah. And that was it. But you can see they've learned that now. So they've been through that. They've learned that they can do anything they want this season. They can play the way they played from September through to March. And they can just take that 2 months longer.
There is the elements as well where I suspect, I don't know, I suspect this might be Guardiola's last season at City.
There's a lot of talk of it, isn't it?
And the effect that might have on them. Now, it could go 2 ways. They could be fueled by that and have an absolutely perfect season, or we could see
they can try too hard.
They can try too hard. So, you know, let's see, because I think if City have a less than exceptional season, I don't see why we can't be in the mix.
We should be in the mix anyway. Yeah. And I mean, I'm not making predictions at the moment. I might start making predictions first week of September, but I'm dead zen about the whole thing. I just want to see some nice football and have a nice time. I want to see some calm and some control on the pitch. I don't want chaos and emotion anymore. I just want
picking up on that. Speaking of calm, you know, I mean, with like Quanson as well, you know, came through last season
from nowhere,
and for me, you know, as a starter, you could argue. I mean, him and Matip looked our best defensive pairing, you know, central defensive pairing at the times. It's like, you know, you go back when you're an old arse like me and Ian, you know, your baseline is up.
I'm not made up, you never threw me in there.
And we're just arses.
Yeah.
But it's always, you know, it's always, you know, Hansen and Lawrenson, isn't it? Gary Gillespie as well, the top ball playing centre.
Gillespie gets forgotten, doesn't he?
Gillespie, you know, it's because of Anson and Lawrence, but he's just such a beautiful footballer. And those two reminded, that's the closest, weirdly, in recent times I can think of.
Two elegant centre-backs at the same time. Because people forget Lawrence was a good footballer.
Yeah.
Because match of the day did him no favours.
Get the ball, and there's no thought of playing it sideways or what's pragmatic or anything. It's take the ball 10, 20 paces on and then look what's on. And so, again, reasons to be cheerful. You've got him there. He's got a season behind him. He's only going to get better. So it's a case of, you're right, it's fine-tuning. I think it's fine-tuning and what the new manager will bring.
Only optimism here. Enjoy your weekend. Up the Reds. Cheers to everything.
Salut.